Hey everybody, Aaron here. December 22nd, 2018. Hey, I wanted to make a quick video about a book I'm reading. It's called The Unseen Hand by A. Ralph Epperson. And the subtitle is An Introduction to the Conspiratorial View of History. This book is something else. Let's see, what am I on? I'm on page 229. Man, some things have been brought out in this book about, well, the first thing is that Americans have not been told the real reason for things that have happened in this country. For instance, the Civil War, the Russian Revolution, the Cold War, the real reason for the First and Second World Wars, the current wars that are going on. I mean, it's like, the title of the book is The Unseen Hand. So it's like these power brokers, these behind the scenes guys who are controlling world events. They are consistently lying to the American public about everything. And I guess they have to, because if they don't lie to the American public, there's a potential that they'll say, hey, no, we don't like your agenda. We're not going for this anymore. We want to shut this monster down. And they don't want that. And one of the reasons why they don't want that is because this attempt to get a hold of Americans' guns has not worked. Gun control in this country has not worked. There's been all these so-called alleged shootings, these mass shootings and all these. I mean, look, I wasn't there. I wasn't in San Diego. I wasn't in Florida. I wasn't in Connecticut. I wasn't in Washington State. I ain't been nowhere near where any of these shootings have been, except for the DC sniper shooting. That was kind of near here. But the point is that I don't have any way of verifying this information. So they could be lying to me about that. I don't know. So I can't form a definite opinion about whether or not massive casualties have been experienced in this country behind these guns, these AR-47s, this menace to society. I can't verify that. And if the government and its government shills that make up the media, if they have shown in the past one time, that they have lied, if you can point to one time when they have lied, they have no credibility. They have none. They have no credibility. So, what was my point? My point was not about gun control. It was about this book. This book is amazing. It looks like these major events that have happened in history, like the Russian Revolution, the Civil War, they're really simple. They're really simple. The bankers who are responsible for making sure various countries have a central bank, or they want to fund themselves in whatever efforts they're engaged in, they foment these wars. They foment wars. They make money from having wars, from creating wars, and they make massive money by setting up a central bank. Now, Epperson says in the chapter of the Civil War that it was the bankers, and I believe it was Rothschild, and I think that's the main name that I saw. They made the decision to divide the United States into two parts so that they would fight among themselves until a winner was declared, and they could control the winner. They could control the winner and get their central bank set up. But there was something else that he said in this chapter that really, really got me. It got me good. I never heard this ever in my life. This is what he said. He said that President Lincoln, he says Lincoln realized that the North needed an ally to keep the European countries out of the war. There was a threat of Britain. Was it England? Yeah, there was a threat of England and France getting in the war, and if they got in the war, they would be assisting the South. So Lincoln was concerned about that, and he needed an ally. And the only viable ally that he had was this particular country that didn't have a central bank. So they weren't controlled by bankers, international bankers. Guess who that country was? Guess who that country was? That country was Russia. The country was Russia. So he says that Russia had a large navy and had already pledged its support to Lincoln prior to the beginning of the war. Lincoln needed something that he could use as a means of encouraging the Russian people to send their navy to the defense of the United States government. Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation to free the slaves as a gesture to the Russian people who had their Tsar free the serfs with a similar proclamation in 1861. What? Lincoln anticipated that this one act would encourage the Russian people to support their government when it lent support to Lincoln's government. So the Emancipation Proclamation did not come out of those poor suffering black slaves. We've got to set them free. They've just been enslaved too long. They're a miserable lot. My conscience is bothering me. Let's set them free. Let's anger the South by setting them free. Nah, fam. It wasn't none of that. Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation to stimulate Russia's involvement in the Civil War to help him win. That's what happens when you read, folks. I would recommend getting this book. You can find it on eBay. I got my copy off of eBay. This book is amazing. It is amazing. Let me give you a rundown really quick before I end this video of some of the chapters that it covers. Oh, and it deals very well with the forms of government that are beneficial and the forms of government that are not beneficial, meaning that they're not beneficial for the people, for the masses. He really gets into that. He gets into that early on. So he deals with God or government, freedom, forms of government, economic terms, inflation. He gives he talks about the reason for inflation. It's amazing. Money and gold, additional economic terms, the secret societies. See, they're the ones behind pretty much everything significant that's happening in this country. And there may be some warring factions among the secret societies, but they generally are they're on a different level from the regular average person like me and you, and their goal is to take advantage of us, pull the wool over our eyes, and this is what they're constantly trying to do. There's a chapter on communism. That's really good to understand. The Russian Revolution, the Cuban Revolution, the American Revolution, the Rothschild family, the Monroe Doctrine, the Civil War, the Federal Reserve, graduated income taxes, nonviolent organizations. Man, I needed that chapter for my book. This was a really good chapter. Population control, that's what I'm currently reading right now. Population control. And you know, the issue of population control. Oh, there's just too many people on the earth. We've got to do something to curb all these people. That is nonsense. It's bogus. And it's about as bogus as climate change. And the thing you have to remember is that these people who are operating behind the scenes, the unseen hand, the hidden hand, there's always an ulterior motive behind those type of agendas. Population control is not really about saving the earth or making things better for the people. Global warming and climate change, these things have a direct impact on human lives. He talks about the Trilateral Commission, the purpose, Iron Mountain, World War I, World War II, communist betrayals, the atomic bomb, the exposers, the Korean War, aid and trade, treason, science versus reason, abortion and Latrell, world government, peace, humanism, education, victories, greatest victory, removal, assistance, and finally the responsibility. The book has 475 pages. I would recommend that you get a hold of a copy and start reading it. You know, it just will change your perspective about things, and also it'll open your eyes up to when you turn on the news and you just kind of take a step back and look and you listen to what they're saying. You can see that they're following a very familiar agenda once you read the book, and you'll be inclined to kind of like, well, hold on. You know, because we tend to lend our support, give our consent to things that that we don't need to be giving our consent towards. We don't need to. And a lot of things function in this world today based on our consent. And a lot of people are consenting to their own misery, and that's got to stop. So give this book a look. Check it out. All right.